Well, it's a cold, rainy day, and Shackleton is helping me tear up all the bubble wrap. It's a dirty job, but somebody has to do it. And today I'm starting to lay out this bed to see if I can fabricate this 9-foot bed. So, if you've been following this project, you'll recall that the previous owner had chopped off the frame rail right behind this rear spring shackle. So we refabricated, had channel broke with the same radius right here that is over here, and the same channel thickness and the same gauge in metal. We pre-drilled all the holes. I used the assembly manual to get the length of these frame rails like they were from the factory. For the 135-inch wheelbase, the 9-foot bed is actually a foot longer, but it's a foot inch shorter after the rear wheel axle. So I'm not gonna shorten the bed rail. I'm not gonna shorten the bed side 1.5 inches. So we're just gonna go ahead and let that fly. But I did fabricate that. So I've now laid out each of these cross sills and installed just temporarily the bumper because I want to make sure we know how that works. And I've put the rear bed sill across here. I got it bolted in place. So what I'm now going to do is come in here and begin to mock up the bed sides. Probably have to wait just a little bit. Shackleton's got a way to go, a little bit of a ways to go on all this bubble wrap. It's taking a little longer than I thought. So we'll catch you up on the next step. All right, this is the end of day one. Pretty much took all day long to get this mocked up, but we now have a 9-foot bed. So what I did is I leveled up this frame, trued it up, got it on jack stand, shimmed it up level, put the bumpers on, put these cross members in. I've got them all bolted in, and I took the bed strips, put them in place, and when I had them made a couple inches long on each end, so I cut those to length so they fit properly in there. I used the holes in the bed strips to help line up all the holes on the frame rail, and I got all that pretty much the way I liked it. I did both sides. I also did the angle strip that will eventually get welded onto the side of the bed right here. And then I mounted up just put a couple of temporary bolts in this side panel. I got it in place. Then I came up here and put the cross piece in place. And when I had Marquet make these, I had to make an extra side panel with no stakes. So it was fairly easy to come in here with a die grinder and cut this off. So I cut out this roughly 8 or 9 inch piece that sits right in there. And I'm gonna spot weld. I have an old vintage spot welder, so I'm gonna spot weld this piece on to that piece before I weld it in. But I basically got it all more or less mocked up where it goes. When the Marquet people made the front, they didn't put the stake pocket on, but they did bend this lip. And I actually think that's kind of a good thing because that's gonna keep this panel straight when I go to weld this little extension in and keep it from warping. So I'm gonna leave that on there. I'm gonna come in here and stitch weld this together. Got a nice little air gap in there. And when I get all done, I'll come in and grind that tab back off, weld the back side and smooth it out. So after a day, I think pretty much got it, at least one side mocked up, and shouldn't be too bad to get this other side on, get it buttoned up, mocked up, check all the dimensions. I'm gonna go ahead and mount the tailgate in it so I make sure it all works before I start welding, and then we should be good to go. The only thing I don't really know is I got this bumper mounted on here, and I'm not sure that this is in the right place. I measured it off of a 58 at a car show, but when that bumper, when the tailgate comes in here, it's gonna sit about there, which is gonna leave about a 4-inch gap between there to there. And I don't know if that's the way that's supposed to be or not. So I'm gonna have to find a pickup truck or find somebody to shoot me a picture of one just to figure out kind of how that's supposed to go. So we'll get back on it day 2 tomorrow. Welcome back to Sam's Antiques Motors. You got Sam Wilson here, working on this 9-foot bed for 1959 NAPCO, day 2. And this morning I'm gonna go ahead and weld the stake pocket onto the little extension that I made for the front of the bed. And to do that, I have this fancy Delta spot welder, which is a really old spot welder. I've only used it about 3 or 4 times, but does seem to work just fine. So this is the extension, and I cut off with a die grinder, made it as straight as possible to have a little air gap on it. And I've taken this stake pocket and I've lined up these holes with a drift. And if the magic works, you just take this pocket, put it right on there where you want the weld, and step down on this. Boom, that's it. Takes a little bit of working with it. I think my leads might be a little bit corroded. So I'm gonna get a file and refile these off, clean this up a little bit. Went ahead and unplugged it. Okay, so there I clean these off, and I really like to keep my equipment maintained and top working order. And if you have one of these machines, I recommend you doing this like I do, say, once every 35 or 40 years. Much better. Okay, so there you have it. Spot welds up and down. Should be good to go. Thanks for watching. Okay, I've got this piece mounted back where it goes, and I've kind of gone to great pains here to get this lined up exactly flush over here. Put a straight edge down, piece of angle iron down this thing, so this will be straight. And put another block down here so that this is exactly flush right here. And I'm gonna put a little tack in a couple of places just to hold it. And then I'm gonna go over and mock up the rest of the other side. And here it is, all stitch welded in. And I just went along here in each one of these little places and made sure this was flush right across the bridge here, and just tack welded the shit out of it. Making sure every one of these little deals is from this side to this side is flush. So I think this is what you call stitch welding. So you just put a little blob each time between the air gap, because what you don't want to do is heat this panel up and start warping this panel. If you try to just run a weld, it'll heat up this panel and warp it. So I think I got it pretty nice here, and I'm gonna move to the other side. I thought I'd show a little bit of the clamping and stitch welding process so you understand that this takes a lot of clamps and a little bit of patience, a little bit of skill with mechanical clamps and patience. Okay, there you have it. Stitch welded up. I'm gonna grind this off, and then I'm gonna come back and lay up any holes that are in the gaps. And I do kind of weld this barehanded because I like to be able to feel the metal, so I know if it's getting too hot. I just want to do kind of pieces, and I do here, and then I come back and do here, and then I come back and do here. So I think we pretty much got this one stitched up. Stay tuned for the next step. Well, at the conclusion of day 2, Shackleton's pretty much just about got this all finished up. He's a little tired, but it's been a good productive couple of days. We've got all of these extensions welded in, all the welds ground smooth, got the stake pockets spot welded onto the ends, got the fenders mounted up. This one showed up with a dent, 2 dents. They did a great job of packing it in a really nice box, except they packed it upside down. So the top of the fender was on the bottom of the box where it gets dropped. Got the cross members in, got all the bed sills cut to length. All of these are ready to go. Got one fender mounted on here. This went up pretty well. It's a fender from Classic Parts. Looks like, other than the shipping issue, looks like a pretty good product. It seems to fit right up. Only issue I've got is this is a really long step, and I was going to take 2 steps and stitch them together to make one, but this is so long that these 2 steps are not long enough. So I'm gonna have to see if I can either find another good original short step, or what would be better is 2 long steps, because a long step I think would make it all the way back to the back. So that pretty much does it. One 9-foot bed ready for body work, and I'm gonna do a little bit more fitting up, but it's pretty much looking like it's gonna go on the truck. Good product. All of these bed parts came from Mark-K up in Oklahoma City, and they won't make a 9-foot bed obviously, but they will make an 8-foot bed with a blank side. So this is what's left of the blank side. I cut 2 ends off of it, and they gave me the stake pockets to go with it, so I spot welded those on. But everything seems to be a pretty nice product. So I think all in, all done, all the stuff including bed strips was about $4,500 and 2021 dollars. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time.
Download the Resto-Rat app today to begin managing, tracking, and documenting your restoration project.